sorry.
I went to Abilene a lot in college. Yeah.
All right, Commissioners, we're going to get going here in just a few moments. All right, great. Welcome, everybody. Good afternoon. I want to welcome you all to the regular Planning Commission meeting of Thursday, May 1st, 2025. I'd like to start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. Ariana, please report on posting the agenda and roll call, please.
The agenda was posted on Thursday, April 24, 2025 at 1:58 p.m. Roll call. Commissioner Benson. Commissioner Ellie.
Present.
Commissioner Kushner.
Here.
Commissioner Langard. Absent. Commissioner Valdez.
Here.
Vice Chair Donhauer.
Present.
Chair Bondle.
Here.
And as a friendly reminder to commissioners and staff to please turn on the mics when speaking. Thank you.
Thank you, Ariana. Any public comments for items not on the agenda?
There are no speakers.
All right. If there are speakers here today for items not on the agenda, now is your time to fill out a speaker card. And I don't see any. Thank you. Moving on to consent agenda. Commissioners, April 3rd, 2025 Planning Commission meeting minutes. Any questions, comments, concerns? I see none. I'm going to make a motion that we accept.
I'll second.
And to confirm, the second was Commissioner Benson?
No,
Oh,
it was Ellie.
Ellie. Commissioner
Ellie.
Thank you. Roll call. Commissioner Ellie. Oh, sorry. Commissioner Benson.
Yes.
Commissioner Ellie.
Yes.
Commissioner Kushner.
Yes.
Commissioner Valdez.
Yes.
Vice Chair Donhauer.
Yes.
And Chair Bondo.
Yes. Thank you. Moving on to 6, public hearing. 6.1, architectural and site review for 3 light industrial buildings located at 8875 Murray Avenue, APN 835-01-059, application number AS 23-06. Hi, Erin.
Hello. Thank you, and good evening, commissioners and members of the public. The item before you is for an architectural and site review permit at 8875 Murray Avenue for 3 new light industrial warehouse buildings for the applicant Heatwave in the M1 Limited Industrial Zoning District, Murray Los Animas Overlay District, and the Industrial Park General Plan Land Use Designation. This site is shown in red. It's an undeveloped 7.29 acre parcel located on the east side of Forest Street between Kishimura and Nagareta Drive, and on the west side of Murray Avenue between Kishimura and Gavilan Court. Properties to the north include light industrial uses. To the west is Wren Transportation and vacant land under construction for light industrial uses. To the south is an undeveloped site and Hope Services, and to the east is a single-family residential neighborhood along Murray Avenue. The proposed project would allow an expansion of the current Heatwave headquarters site, which is currently adjacent to the northwest. Heatwave is a company that designs and sells eyewear that has been headquartered in Gilroy since 2019, and the applicant will talk more about their business following my presentation. The project will include construction of 3 light industrial warehouse buildings. Building 1 would be 42,000 square feet, Building 2, 48,000 square feet, and Building 3, 30,000 square feet, constructed in 3 phases. The buildings would be a mix of office, warehouse, and light industrial assembly use. They would be up to 35 feet tall, which is the maximum height allowed in the M1 zoning district, but they're primarily between 29 and 31 feet tall and 2 stories. At project completion, there would be a total of 293 parking spaces, which meets the parking requirements. Here's the site plan with Building 1 in the northwest corner being constructed first, facing Forest Street. Building 2 to the south would be constructed in Phase 2, and Building 3 facing Murray Avenue constructed in Phase 3. There are 2 driveway access points that would be constructed along Forest Street and 1 driveway access on Murray Avenue. A temporary driveway access would be constructed in Phase 1 between the project site and the current Heatwave site to the north to allow secondary emergency vehicle access from Kishimura. New sidewalks would be constructed along both frontages and landscaping provided along the full perimeter. 3 trash enclosures are located internally to the site. Here are elevations. This is Building 1, the west elevation. This is the first building that would be constructed for Heatwave. You can see the west elevation, which would face Forest Street, and the entry is about 31 feet tall, but the rest of the building is about 29 to 31. The building would include a second floor deck. The building materials are concrete with metal panel accents and metal awnings above the second floor windows. This is a contemporary style with a neutral color palette of shades of light and dark gray. This would be Building 2, built second, also facing Forest Street, same color, material, and height. And this would be Building 3. This is the east elevation, which would face Murray Avenue, same building material, color, and height. This is the color and material board, the concrete facade, metal accent panels, second floor deck on the first building, and metal awnings over the second floor windows. Here's the landscape plan, full planting along the entire site and perimeter, very ample landscaping along the frontages of Murray and Forest. 21 feet is the minimum required from face of curb, and along Murray Avenue it's approximately 35 feet from face of curb and 43 feet from face of curb on Forest Street. So in summary, the proposal is consistent with the M1 Limited Industrial Zoning District Development Standards, including height, setbacks, landscaping, and parking requirements. It is consistent with the general plan land use designation of industrial park, where the intent is to allow for low-intensity industrial developments that can be located in close proximity to residential and light industrial uses with a minimum of environmental conflict. It meets the Murray-Los Animas Overlay District with enhanced landscaping, including increased streetscape buffering, neutral building tones, aesthetically pleasing fencing, appropriate building heights, which includes the same maximum building height as the residential, attractive architecture and multi-material buildings, and it meets the industrial design guidelines. In terms of CEQA, staff finds the project to be exempt from further environmental review under Section 15183 for projects that are consistent with a community plan or zoning. This project was analyzed and found to be consistent with the general plan EIR, and the report is included in tonight's packet. Staff received only 1 public comment from a community group which promotes the reduction of greenhouse gases in multimodal transportation, which provided some suggestions. In looking at those suggestions, the applicant agreed to incentivize biking to work by including employee showers and dressing areas and providing education to employees regarding local bicycle routes and transit information. So in conclusion, staff has analyzed the proposed project and recommends that the Planning Commission, based on its independent analysis, determine this project is exempt from further environmental review pursuant to state CEQA guidelines section 15183, projects consistent with the community plan or zoning, and adopt a resolution approving proposed architectural and site review permit application AS 2306. And that concludes my presentation. I'm here if you have any other questions. The applicant also has a presentation as well.
Great. Thank you, Aaron. Commissioners, any questions for staff? All right, if they're... Okay.
I asked her, I'm like, are you feeling okay? I think the answer is yes, but when we were looking at the ice cream warehouse on the other side of the street, I think they're, and I was away, I didn't have great access to internet, and I didn't download that plan in advance. I think their sidewalks were 6.5 or 6.8. I mean, they were this similar size of 7 feet wide, and I think that became sort of the standard for that block. Now, will this be an encouragement by the city for other developers to, continue that larger sidewalk because that's a pedestrian and a bike. I think it's a bike thoroughfare, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, the standard is a 6-foot sidewalk along that each of those streets.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Any other questions?
Great, Commissioners. If there's no other questions, I'm going to open it up to public hearing. Ariana, are there any speakers? Would the applicant like to come up? Wherever you're comfortable.
It's over here, so I don't know. You want to just take it right here? Okay. And then we can just...
Yeah, gotcha. Thank you so much. Hello, everybody. My name is Justin Hertel, and my name is on this project. And it's nice to meet you guys. If we haven't met. So anyways, there's a funny thing called the Baader-Meinhof phenomenon. It's a cognitive bias where something you've recently learned or noticed seems to appear more frequent than it actually does. This illusion stems from increased awareness and selective attention to the new item. Today, that item is shown on the screen before you. And it's been around you for the past 5 years. If you haven't seen it before, look the next time you drive around town. Look at people's cars, look at kids on their bikes. In the cars, there's probably an air freshener donning this logo dangling from their rearview mirror. On the bikes, there's probably a sticker on the frame or on their helmet. Then take a gander at the sunglasses people are wearing. If you haven't seen this before, you're going to start to notice it around here a lot. I'm not a property developer. I'm a creator at heart. Heatwave Visual is a company that I co-founded in 2012 and have operated as CEO and lead creative from inception to this meeting and beyond. I have designed and developed not only eyewear, but an entire brand that has grown into something much larger than any of us have ever expected. And you're going to start to hear me say we and not I, because there's no I in Heatwave. We got a big team. So anyways, the brand has grown nationally and internationally in segments where we operated authentically, connecting with our customers in ways that eyewear brands were just not doing. You may now be asking, what is a palm tree logo eyewear brand doing in the garlic capital of the world? I found myself asking the same question in 2019 when we were out of options in San Carlos. I myself grew up in the Bay Area. We just so happened to be in San Carlos with this business when we started. As much as we liked the peninsula, that door was closing for us. And you know what they say, when one door closes, another opens. We just had to find it, and we found that in Gilroy. In 2019, we purchased and moved into what we thought would be our forever home, a 10,000 square foot steel building on Forest Street, right off of Leasley Road and down the street from the outlets. There was 5 of us at the time running this whole company. including myself. We actually were only able to occupy 5,000 square feet of this first building. And we rented out the center unit. To be frank, we were actually scared that we would not be able to afford the mortgage, so having some rental kickback to help us crack that monthly nut seemed nice. And Shirley made the decision to go south, a sound business decision. In 2020, I moved myself and my family to Gilroy. Heidi's in the audience. The kids are at home to save you guys the stress of hearing a crying baby. Everything at this point was growing quickly in that fertile soil Gilroy provided, but especially that palm tree. It took off. In just a short couple of years, let's see, we've got to advance this to, okay, there's our air freshener and the stickers on the cars and the sunglasses. There's us when we first bought this building, me and my co-founder. After a couple of years, that 10,000 square feet building became fully ours and the seams started to burst. We were lucky to secure an additional 9,000 square feet building across the street. This nearly doubled our footprint, but we were separated now. Fulfillment, operations, and creative had always been as one, but for the first time ever, we were split. Things were harder this way, but like we do, we made it work. The company continued to show promise and grow. In an attempt to secure our future, I bought acreage on Forest Street, right next to our current headquarters. Putting us all under one roof again was once again a possibility. Over the nearly 3 years it has taken to now get to this meeting, Heatwave had maxed out the 19,000 square feet on Forest Street. I don't know how often anyone here is looking for commercial space, but the surplus is slim to none for a growing business such as ours. I couldn't even bring in new hires at the time due to a lack of space. This pushed our next move to Morgan Hill, where we desperately secured another building. Not more than 6 months later, we grabbed another building, and we are now at a total of 29,000 square feet, split between 4 buildings in 2 cities, and are now even storing items outside. We have gone from 5 employees to over 40 in just a short couple of years, most of whom are local to Gilroy, and many others are just a city or so over. We are now one of the top relative newcomers to a highly competitive space that is occupied mostly by multi-billion-dollar international conglomerates dominating the market, and here we are, an independent, shaking things up and showing the big guys how it's done from none other than Gilroy. This is a rare mashup of a small crew who kept going in an unlikely place for a brand with a palm tree logo, showing that you can truly accomplish anything here if you are motivated and resourceful enough to do so. We have established ourselves here and have retained high morals as we have grown. The product and customer experience is a priority, but I am most proud to make this a great place to work. We pay above average wages and provide great benefits to our employees. We provide full-fledged careers and opportunities here at Heatwave. I have made it a point to give back both locally and nationwide to foundations and nonprofits. We have run several successful toy drives for Rebecca's, a local children's service, a nonprofit helping orphaned and underprivileged children, and have given upwards of $50,000 to their cause in above standard gifts and monetary contributions. I have donated to local schools. I have donated tens of thousands of dollars to veteran nonprofits and firefighter benevolent foundations. I am committed to giving back and am proud to be able to do that locally. We are pro-first responder, pro-military, pro-blue collar, pro-local, and just pro-America in general. That's my guys on the front page of the Gilroy Dispatch after we made a drop this year for Rebecca's, so pretty proud of that. Anyways, to shift gears slightly, and for those who have raised an eyebrow at this project, there's some first responders and some military guys rocking our stuff. I thought that was pretty cool. Here's this project. To shift gears slightly, and those who have raised an eyebrow about this project, there's a few things I felt that was worth mentioning. This piece of land has long since been zoned light industrial. It has commercial buildings surrounding it on all sides for more than 2 decades. In its current state, it is a field destined and ripe for a new type of growth. Even if for some reason Heatwave never occupies this land, It's best for the community if it's developed on. My struggles as a business owner in Gilroy have been made more difficult by the lack of availability in commercial and light industrial space. A majority of Gilroy residents commute out of town to work. This is in part due to the lack of the available business space businesses have to move or grow into. The shortage and time it has taken to get to this point has already nearly forced us out. The only commercial space I can see being built are above and beyond the reach of small business, even flourishing businesses such as Heatwave. Massive 100,000 square foot buildings are only meant for the big players. This development supports Gilroy's initiatives to reduce greenhouse gases, traffic, and keeps Gilroy's residents working in Gilroy, which, as you know, fuels the community in many ways. If you want to keep Gilroy livable, Gilroy needs to support the addition of commercial spaces like these. Otherwise, people will have no choice but to seek their opportunities elsewhere. To close, I may be biased, but I didn't know I was going to have audio on that. To close, I may be biased, but Heatwave, despite the name, is probably one of Gilroy's coolest brand and businesses. At the time of this development we are here to review tonight, it is essential to sustaining our growth. It has already taken much longer than any of us have anticipated to get this far, and without it, the palm tree you see before you, one that means so much to so many, and one I promise you will have a Bader-Meinhof phenomenon with, needs in order to sustain its growth within Gilroy. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Good job. Yeah. Commissioners, any questions for the applicant?
Sorry.
I had a simple question for you. Once the build-out, all three phases are done, are you planning on owner-occupying, or is it planned to be leased out?
It's kind of flexible right now because I didn't ever imagine that we would need the space that we're in now. Like I said, 10,000 square feet seemed like it was going to be good for us forever. And it seems like once phase one is built, I'm already thinking that that's not going to be enough. So as we grow, as potentials change or as things shift, yes, we could absolutely occupy that, but I'm keeping it flexible just in case we need to subdivide it and can potentially lease it out to other businesses in suites, such as other businesses or other buildings are doing in the area.
Thank you.
That was my question, too. So this Gilroy would now be your headquarters as you move from San Carlos to Gilroy to Morgan Hill, back to Gilroy.
We are still our headquarters is primarily in Gilroy. We just have some space in Morgan Hill right now. We are split between the two cities right now. It's a smaller space in Morgan Hill, but we are split.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Ardell.
Is that it? Okay. Thank you.
All right. I'm going to open it up for public comment. Ariana, any speakers?
Yes, we have Tom Muniz.
Mr. Rooney, just a reminder, you have 3 minutes.
Good evening. I'm one of the homeowners along Murray Avenue that's the planned project here, and not necessarily representing the whole neighborhood there, but been there for a good part of my life there, and want to just comment on this project. I do have some comments that maybe the Planning Commission can consider as far as potential opportunities to update the plan. But in general, just first off, I want to thank the applicant for everything they've done to this date in terms of, it was pretty impressive to glance at the 600-page report online as far as what's coming up there. Good points about this. You're developing this site as an infill project, so that's good. I like the part about job creation, so that's a big positive. Being a long-term Gilroy resident here, I like the fact that there's consistency with the city policy. I was part of the team that was involved with actually putting together with the city the overlay district policy to consider the neighborhood when it came to projects in this area. So the setbacks, the architecture, the walkways, all that is positive from my view. But I am concerned about from a traffic point of view, because that living there, I experienced the traffic, I observed the traffic. There's that road is just getting busier and busier. I think you could see that on your own. The only other concern, if there is manufacturing going on, is emissions. I'm not sure if this is just an assembly plant, but if there's emissions, then the planning council should look at that carefully. If not already, I'm sure it has. So the opportunities, I think I see. One concern I have is the driveway alignment for the Phase 3 building. Not being a traffic engineer, but I see conflicts with how the driveway's coming out to Murray and how that lines with the cul-de-sacs there. From my understanding, good traffic design is when you have a true intersection. So I see that as a challenge for residents coming in and out of that community. We see it already for residents coming out of Kennedy and Lincoln Court up to through Kishamura. So just to wrap things up here, if you don't know the plan,
you are out of time. But if you're finishing up, I'll let you finish.
Yeah, we had the neighborhood and the city worked with the neighborhood and established a no trucking zone, a no trucking route for this Murray. So I want to be sure that that's the case with Murray Avenue going forward, and all traffic is coming off of Forest, because believe me, there's so many residents. There's like, I estimate probably 1,000 residents, people that live in that neighborhood, and you have all the others are homeless and others that are walking through the area.
I don't want to cut you off, but
consider maybe consider Phase 3 as going without the driveway off of Murray as an option, or consider aligning the driveway with Gavilan Court, and then further consider with the city programming a roundabout along Murray, because that's going to help that mitigate traffic and the speeds that we're observing out there. And
great.
Yeah, we've had many accidents recently.
Thank you, Mr. Ernie. We're going to have to move on. I appreciate the comment. Ariana, any other speakers?
Yes, Eli Robles.
Good evening, Planning Commission. My name is Eli Robles, representing NorCal Carpenters. So we do invite, responsible building in the area, but we would like to see, we reached out to the developer or the owner, and would like to see, a responsible contractor on the project, that adheres to apprenticeship standards, healthcare for its workers, and also labor standards. So that's about it. But thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Ariana, any other speakers? If there's anybody out there who wants to speak, please come fill out a speaker card.
There are no further speakers.
Great, thank you. I'm going to move forward with the closing public hearing. Commissioners, disclosure of any ex parte communication? I see none. Thank you. Any further questions for staff?
I actually do. The gentleman was asking about traffic flow, and I don't remember seeing that we had a traffic flow for another project, a housing project over off of, I think it was 6th Street. So saying trucks can only go in this ingress and egress out of certain streets, but not on other streets. I don't remember seeing it here. It's a big document. Are we just following the predefined truck traffic flow that the city already has?
Yeah, so the city did adopt a truck routing plan with our general plan in 2020, which does identify Murray Avenue as a truck route. So that was established then. I think there was actually confusion, or maybe because it just changed in 2020, so there actually were old signs along that street also that said not a truck route, and I believe those have actually been taken down because Murray Avenue is designated as a truck route currently.
And then I had a couple additional questions, and maybe for the applicant. Reduction of dust, is there any sort of mitigation for that, as there is a lot of community there? So sometimes, I'm not in this type of engineering, but I didn't know if that was being included.
Sorry, you said reduction
Mitigation
of
of dust
dust.
during construction?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Dust control is definitely a measure. It's a condition of approval, and they always have to water down
Thank
the
you.
dust.
It starts at 31, Public Works Construction Act.
Okay, thank you. I must have missed it. And then, so when we were looking at other facilities about truck idling and deliveries, so I just didn't know, I noticed it looks like there's some bays maybe for delivering in some of the later phases. So I know when we were talking, and I'm just comparing to the ice cream, again, because that was a very interesting site, that all their trucks were electric, and so they would, not be idling during that time, and even if they were, there was no emission there. So any information on that for the community?
I believe that there are requirements, energy requirements for these trucks, that they're getting stronger as well, that they aren't supposed to idle for very long, and they are becoming more electric. I don't have that off the top of my head, but
Okay.
I do believe that that's part of state law.
All right, thank you.
I'm going to assume, because it's not like the trucking business where the ice cream's operating.
Exactly.
The FedEx generally are pretty scheduled. They're in and out.
That's what I'm thinking.
Depending on the applicant and how fast they're loading the trucks.
Yeah. I did want to make a comment on the project. As an aside, I was watching something that's going on in the UK right now, and they built a 60-foot tall building, a huge warehouse, butted up right against people's back gardens, and they're in tears. And I was thinking of that when I saw this project. It's a beautiful project. The setback is larger. It has a beautiful front. It has a beautiful balcony. And I thought to myself, being in a light industrial area and having a home, that's something nice to look at. So the thought was very thoughtful with the trees that were selected. None of them are invasive. Some a little dirty, but people like their different trees. That's fine. But, very well done and very thoughtful. So I just want to say thank you to staff and the applicant. And then to hear that they're putting in showers. As a bicyclist who used to bike to work, sure, they're necessary. So, well done.
Yeah, I just want to concur that the architectural details were really impressive, and also the fact that you agreed with the bicycle commission to put showers in. Because in the past I had a coworker and that was bicycling to work, not up in the peninsula, but we ended up giving him a closed office because we didn't have shower. And it gets pretty.
And I just want to thank you for replying to the bike pack and providing us copies of the responses. That was great. Thank you.
Sure.
Commissioners, any further questions for staff? If not, the floor is open for motion or further discussion. All right, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion. I'm going to motion that, based on its independent analysis, determine this project is exempt from further environmental review pursuant to State CEQA Guidelines, Section 15183, consistency with a community plan or zoning.
I'll second.
Roll call. Commissioner Benson,
Yes.
Commissioner Ellie,
Yes, it is
Right.
exempt, right? Thank you.
Commissioner Kushner,
Yes.
Commissioner Lingard is out, Commissioner Valdez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Donhauer,
Yes.
Chair Bondo.
Yes. Thank you. Nobody else is going to make the motion? I will
I'll do the next one.
go for it.
I move that we adopt a resolution approving the architectural and site review permit application AS23-06.
I'll second.
And can I confirm on the second, please?
Commissioner Benson?
Thank you. Roll call. Commissioner Benson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellie?
Yes.
Commissioner Kushner?
Yes.
Commissioner Valdez?
Yes.
Vice Chair Donhauer?
Yes.
And Chair Bondo?
Yes. Thank you and congratulations. Thank you, Aaron. All right, I'm going to move on to new business 7.1, finding of consistency for the capital improvement program project list for fiscal year 2026 and fiscal year 2027 to determine its consistency with the city's general plan and the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA. And welcome, Mr. John Dowdy.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Chair, Commission members, I have the pleasure to be here to present to you tonight the fiscal year 26-27 Capital Improvement Program project list. This is a requirement you see at least every 2 years for review of these projects. I'm guessing some of you have seen this presentation in some form or another, all of you perhaps, and I don't want to belabor the point. I think it is important to understand that the CIP is a planning process, and I think it's important that this commission be part of that process. It is also, and I think as obviously as residents of this community, paragraph 1 I think is important. You live, work, play, serve here, and the improvements that we do with regard to the parks, the streets, and everything affect each of you and each of the constituents and residents around. Item number 2 on this is kind of a critical piece, I think, for this as a commission member, which is the idea that this is a link between the general plan and other long-range planning documents, including the city's infrastructure plans, the city's budget, but it also directly links to and indirectly links to much of what you're doing in terms of focusing where growth occurs, where development happens, and how to build sustainable development. So I won't belabor this point either, but I think it's critical just to remember that this is about useful life. We don't call capital projects that aren't going to last at least more than 5 years. They're in a fixed location. They're non-recurring, so it's not staff-related issues. These are actually fixed items, and I think that's just an important piece to understanding how some of these things are there. You got in your packet, you have an attachment 1, which is a broader and a little more detail to the projects. I wanted to highlight some of the upcoming things that I think are more interesting and maybe for the community and maybe and hopefully for you as well. We're excited. We're getting ready to go to the City Council next Monday to award hopefully a contract for a design professional to look at the interior space renovations for the library, and just recently we received a grant for new EV chargers at the library, so we're excited by those, and we'll try to integrate both of those things moving forward. And this is basically, those improvements are utilizing remainder bond funds from when the library was originally constructed. So no general fund impact, and I think that's something the council and the community are excited about as well. We are looking at citywide park improvements, and these include restroom upgrades, hardening, going in and in some cases replacing and dealing with those. One of those that we're looking to replace in the very near future is I think they call it the Oaks, but the area at Los Alamos, which is the bathrooms there are just a mess, and some others we're looking also to add on the ranch side of Christmas Hill Park. new restroom facilities, and there's some other things going on with that. But also looking at equipment replacement, some of the playgrounds. We get a lot of comments now that we have Gilroy Connect and SeeClickFix. We're hearing more and more from that, but we had already started work on that. We're excited about those things. And then just some other major kind of resurfacing and project work. One that I think is very exciting, I get a lot of emails from the community, is the potential for outdoor pickleball courts. I see one of our Parks and Rec commissioners there in the audience. Hello. And this is something that the commission has been pushing for quite a while. I think the community has been pushing this, and at this point, the draft staff report and budget includes recommendations and which the council will consider for up to 4 new outdoor pickleball courts, and the commission has identified Los Alamos Park as the place most fitting for that. We'll still look at some issues, but I think that's where it'll ultimately be. And then we'll also continue with parking lot resurfacing downtown and at our parks, hopefully with that. So those are just sort of, I think, high-level items, but I think of interest to hopefully you and the community members that are here and watching. And the other piece of this is, so the why, who, when is state law requires you to do this, but I think even if you didn't have state law, it would be the right thing to do. And who? Well, that's you. The statute basically says that the Planning Commission is the designated body, and that's where you fit into this point. And when? Well, it's prior to City Council approval of the capital improvement program. And let me just say, this is interesting for me. We're doing a biennial budget, the 2-year budget, so it's unique. It's been a while since I've been in an agency that did a 2-year. We did the larger in 24. You saw the 24 to 28 whole capital improvement program. Tonight, what we're focusing in are the projects that we're proceeding with in fiscal year 26-27. So you're not looking at, and the reason why your packet may seem thinner than you might think that it might be, it's because you're looking at just making the determination for what projects we're considering moving forward with and trying to build in the next 2 fiscal year periods with that deal. So that's just to clarify that piece of the equation. And attachment 2 includes a package of consistency findings for you to consider with this, and that's consistent with what you've seen in the past in the more detailed because of the whole 24 to 28 CIP itself. And with that, we would ask that you receive this report and to ultimately see fit to adopt a resolution finding that the fiscal year 26-27 list of capital projects is consistent with the adopted general plan. And next steps, we are looking to release the operating capital budget to the City Council next week. And ultimately, the schedule is for City Council adoption on June 2nd. There's a council workshop on Monday as well to talk about priorities, and which really leads into budget conversation as well, obviously. And that'll be in the afternoon on Monday. So public is welcome to that. It's an open meeting. And that leaves me at questions.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to have some questions.
You are more than welcome.
Okay. I come from the Parks and Recreation Commission. I was on 8 years and recently became a planning commissioner again after being in the 1980s. I went through several these every 2-year capital improvement requests, and then you're now the 3rd public works director I have dealt with. And previously, we tried to get Parks Master Plan updates in the budget. promises made, promises broken. And the last director, Hepa, and she knew I was passionate about it because I was going out on my term, and this is something I'm still passionate about, that we are so far behind in updating our master plans of the city of Gilroy that it's affecting our impact fees and the ability to raise impact fees. So it's something that I don't think we can ignore anymore. And if I don't see it on this package, I'm not going to support it, just because, you know, even the pickleball, that's not a master plan. You know, I was on the committee when we presented this and did our work and our study, and it's now going to council, but there's no master plan for that. There's no money for it. The Civic Center master plan, you know, we're in the middle of that, and, you know, that before, I don't know when that got in the capital budget, but it didn't come to the Parks and Rec Commission. Maybe it's because it's not a park, but it's still within the Civic Center. So I'm just kind of like beseeching someone of authority to get these master plans on the capital improvement plan. I don't care if you don't do it in the next 2 years. Get it at a marking spot on there, because it has just gone. I retired from the city 15 and a half years ago, and we needed them then, and we still haven't done it. So it's desperately, desperately needed. So I beg you to, you know, be a supporter and get it on there somehow. Thank you.
I would like to add on to that. I was actually looking at our master plans this past week, and when I did a Google search, I thought, oh, this must be an old one. It was not. It was not an old one.
Through the chair? Yes, sir. I think there's a question there. I appreciate where you're coming from. When my first day was March 3rd, but I plan on being around for a little while. Okay.
Yeah,
so,
no, I'm not.
So
here to,
I'm
not here
you know,
to beat you up. I'm just here to get
I'm,
an advocate.
you know, I get where you're coming from. First of all, the commission has been very passionate about that, and I'm sure you're going to hear a little bit. And that is one of the master plan update is one of the items that the commission has pushed forward to the council, requesting funding and consideration for adding into the capital improvements program. So that is being presented to the council, and to the extent that I can advocate for that on behalf of the commission and on behalf of what is good planning, I will do so. When I was looking at this position and doing my research, I certainly found the Parks and Rec plan, and was disappointed that it, you know, for very selfish reasons, that it had been done a while back. And being kind.
I have a granddaughter who's 16 now, and I retired to help raise her.
And I do appreciate that too. And we have acknowledged that, and we had a very good, robust conversation at the commission, and I think you'll hear that we support that. My prior agency, we made that a priority, and did both the Parks and Rec, well, really it's just the Parks Master Plan, and the Trails and Bike Plan, two separate documents, but at the same time actually leading into our general plan update process. So I appreciate that. I've worked on others, so this is something that's near and dear to my heart. I'm liaison now with the Parks and Rec Commission, and I'm there with you in terms of understanding what it is. And that's that part why I emphasized the long-range plans need to be contemplated with this.
Yeah, and I appreciate what you're saying and your support and understanding. And I just got off the commission in January, so this is, you know, but they knew it was my passion, and I came to council when I said my goodbyes, and I told the council, hey, you know, I'm not going away. This is still my passion. And I got an email tonight, a text message from the chairman of the Parks and Rec Commission. And he was just talking pickleball, and I'm going, wait a minute, that was my second reinforcement that it's just pickleball. And it's not, where's the Parks Master Plan? So.
I think it was the vice chair, but
Well, no, Luis is the chair. Luis Ramirez, isn't he the chair?
No, he's the vice chair.
Okay, so then that's the vice chair. So he reached out to me, knowing that I'm on the planning commission now. But my one question is, if it's not in this resolution to get on past the 2-year level or somewhere, it gets lost. I'm worried about that. How do we not lose it again?
I'll first say, unfortunately, the structure of this and the structure of the item is not for any commission member or commission itself to identify and designate new projects.
Understand.
I am certainly happy as we move forward and come to the council that we affirm, if there is consensus among the commission members, that this is something that is important and something critical. Certainly on the record, that'll be here on the record. But we, as staff, will continue to advocate and let the council know that this is of interest and see where we can go with it. The good news is that we can come back at any time the council chooses and directs us or authorizes us to come back and add it in, and we could add it in certainly as an unfunded project, even if they're not there. And I hear that, and I think that's the worst case scenario that comes out of the Parks and Rec Commission's push for that and advocacy for that master plan work to occur. And if you don't, you're right. If you don't get it on that list at some point, it never gets added to the list, and it never comes up, and the funding opportunities never arrive with it. So I think there's two paths there, obviously, that we can pursue, and I'm interested to see what happens with the commission's reports and recommendations. But beyond that, I think it's perfectly appropriate. But you can go through your attorney as to whether it'd be appropriate to at least advocate for it and support it and everything with that deal, even though it's not a specific item. But we can certainly convey that consensus if there is.
Jolie, I have a question. If there was consensus in the commission to amend the resolution to add that, would that be acceptable?
It's not on the agenda, but what I would say is when you make your motion, and you can do this as one motion, receive the report. You don't adopt the report. You receive the report, right, but you adopt the resolution. Make a motion on that, and then I would make something separate that you're requesting that the council consider maybe looking at the, master plan. Because it really isn't on the agenda, but you could say that you want it identified in the staff report, that the Planning Commission had concerns or wants the council to consider the Parks Master Plan.
Okay.
And that could just be a direction. I mean, just a consensus of you, since it's not really on the agenda. But it could be added to the staff report that goes with this to the
Perfect.
council.
Thank you.
So you would be heard.
I think that would work.
Yeah.
Mr. Dowdy had a question for you in your presentation and in speaking to you about the pickleballs. In the resolution itself and the documents that were provided, especially with like the codes, like 80-1000, I don't see pickleball courts anywhere listed in the actual documents that were given. That includes the new projects proposed, CIP project list, and also, am I not seeing it?
It's on page 638 of the PDF, page 638. Yeah, but it's not really, and it's not, nothing is really delineated. It's 637.
Oh, you know what? There's multiple. See, look at the one I'm looking at.
Oh, there was an updated packet.
Yep, I see it. Okay.
It was, I apologize, it was late breaking when we sat down and learned that we were that the city administrator was pushing forward with recommended funding for the pickleball. So we did have to amend and update the documents.
Perfect. It looks like the verbiage was changed on that coding of from sports court resurfacing to pickleballs.
Would you like to see my computer? I downloaded it. Okay, you're good. Okay, I mean, just in case you want to look at anything else. Okay.
Great. Thanks for the clarification.
So, but is all of our staff reports updated? Because it doesn't look like it. I mean, I downloaded it from council or wherever, and it.
Are you seeing the same thing I saw?
I'm looking at page 637, 638, and for 637, I see 801050 pickleball courts. This project will design and construct pickleball courts at city parks. And then the next page is where you're going into the numbering of all the items. And it just says, the pickleball courts, and it's part of policy 105, 1609, and 1.05. I don't see any firmer description of that. So this is the latest?
That is the latest, yep. That's the one I did.
And there's no financial numbers in here, which I've usually seen in other CIPs. Okay.
There will be, and then it'll be the financials will all be included in the upcoming release of the capital budget, which is next week to the world with it on it.
So I had a couple questions.
Mm-hmm.
So we, I think we did and you'll have to keep me honest, a CIP that was for, I think, last year for 5 years, and it was a full list.
It was 2 years ago.
2 years.
We looked at the 5-year
was it 2
plan.
years ago? Oh my gosh. Okay. So and then I have a couple questions, and then I have a question, clarifying questions, and I have a question. Staff creates this list without city council input or with city council input?
The capital improvement program is first initiates in an internal process to identify projects, to talk to facilities, to talk to the various parties, and get input on that. Ultimately, these the documents themselves are approved by the city council, come to you for consistent determination 2 years ago, and was approved by the city council. The city council does a second piece to this, which is determine within the biennial budget what they're able to fund based on the revenue and funding sources that are available, grant funds, general fund, whatever it may be. And that's what we're in right now. So they did both in you did both in 24, 28. You did the 24, 28 long 5-year plan, and you did 24, 25 projects list.
Right. Okay.
So this is the unique piece to this point, is that we're only talking about the 24, 25. Some of these are being added, and the ones we're talking about tonight are the ones that are added because the 24, 28 plan, capital improvement program that you adopted, and findings of consistency is already in place for that. So, so we were just trying to keep this as simple as possible and kind of the rifle shot in that.
And as the commissioner previous said they usually have information on costs, and so this doesn't have it. Why? I'm just trying to understand the whole process.
Sure. Well, it's unique because we're trying to trying to time your meeting.
And I know you just started too.
And the statutory requirement. I've been doing this a long time, whether it's here or anywhere else, and it's usually the same challenge of just addressing those things. So I'll start with the one that nobody up in your seat wants to hear. The council holds the gold and is the one responsible for, and really is the one who cares about the cost. We understand that you as community members and as you as commission members are interested in it, but we are stuck in a situation in which the numbers and the dollars and the release of the actual capital budget is next week, and your meeting is today. So that's why you're not seeing it. It wasn't intentional to try to keep you out of that point. With
So we have a deadline then that we need to meet. Okay.
There's a deadline, and that's the issue for this. Yes.
And so in the future, we would most likely have this information.
Optimally, we would be trailing with this consistency determination after the actual CIP as a whole or the capital budget's been released. So that's kind of an optimal situation. It just didn't work out in the line this year.
So if you said that the council can add to it, which would be to the commissioner's request that we ask them to add the master plan for parks and the trails and for your interests.
Well, I think Julie was saying we can't make that a motion, but we can make it a request
Right.
to look at the master plan, and
But-
they could make that
Right.
change.
Council can add it. Can they add to this CIP at any other time? Can they make an amendment to it if there's something that they're adding to the CIP outside of these windows?
The council theoretically can at a public hearing choose to add, but before that happens, we have to return back to you for consistency determination. So if there's an added item to this, so if the council says, yes, we want to add the Parks Master Plan, which our commission estimated about $250,000 for that, which I think is a good number to work with from that point. Even if they say prior to coming back, technically, we're going to have to really come back eventually and come back and make a determination of consistency to add that in, even if it's an unfunded project, technically, I guess, with it. So that's something we would come back. But no project can be added without coming back to you and asking for your consistency determination. So you'll see.
Okay, so when we looked at the CIP 2 years ago, we saw that the fire station was not on that priority list, which said, and I specifically asked that there was within the next 5 years, we're not planning to work on the fire station. Now, there's been a lot of things that happened since then and now, and we are at a situation where we are being told that it's being worked on. So is the fire station outside of the CIP? Does it need to be on the CIP? Was there another hearing that, is the fire station in this 5-year project?
The fire station.
How?
The fire station was in the 24 to 28, and
it was not listed on the priority list. It was in there, but they specifically said they're not going to be working on it in the next 5 years. Since then, and I know this is before your time here,
and there may have been an amendment that I'm not privy to.
but it never came back to us.
That's true. It never came back to us, but Glen Loma's had an agreement.
No, I'm aware of the
Yeah,
agreement,
and
but it's
Jolie
not
might
part
even
of the
know it,
CIP,
yeah.
and that's why I'm asking for guidance with regard to this. And I understand that this is history that's very long and complicated, and it's not. It goes way back, and it's beyond, before your time here. So this is something I'm kind of asking staff and council for an understanding of. That we're being told that that's a go. We have not yet, and this would be the second time around that we've gotten funding or found funding, made a plan, and nothing, and a shovel did not hit dirt.
Yeah.
So, now we're here being told it's getting worked on. We're looking for another, we're updating that plan. We have funding. So you see what I'm saying. So it's not necessarily a question for you, but maybe a question for Jolie and, staff, our council, I should say. Sorry, Jolie.
Through the chair, if I could, one is that the city administrator is scheduled, I think Monday, I believe, to give the council and give the community an update. And one of those updates, I believe, is on the Santa Teresa Fire Station. So that's coming up. I don't want to steal any thunder or anything with that. But what I can say is that at this point, I've assigned to myself the project management for the time being, at least for the Santa Teresa Fire Station. We are proceeding forward with that project, and I think the priority is there. we can come back and revisit the issue of whether we came back and did a consistency determination. We can certainly take a look at that when that modification was made. But that being said, I think you're going to hear a little more of that story on Monday at the council meeting, but I can assure you that staff is working on it, and it is in the list of project work.
Thank you.
What time is the study session first before the council meeting? Were you saying?
Oh, what time is that, Sharon? Noon time? 1 o'clock?
Yeah, it starts at noon.
Well, that's going to
And
make it really tough for some of us to attend.
Next Monday?
Yeah. Yeah, I won't be able to make that.
Great. Any further questions for staff? I see there are none. I'm going to go ahead and open for public comment. Ariana, do we have any?
Yes, we have Emily Miller.
Hi, Emily. Just a reminder, you have 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. My name is Emily Miller. I serve on the Gilroy Parks and Recreation Commission, as John just mentioned. I'm here tonight to express my strong support for the park initiatives included in the 26-27 report that John just showed. These investments are essential for improving quality of life across and access to recreational opportunities in Gilroy. Our parks are in need of maintenance and repair, as you guys know. While I support all the park-related initiatives, I want to specifically highlight the importance of pickleball courts. This project has received widespread and growing community support. A recent Change.org petition calling for new pickleball courts in Gilroy has already gathered close to 270 signatures, reflecting a strong and engaged base of residents who care deeply about the issue. The previous Parks and Recreation Commission conducted site research and laid the groundwork for this effort, and the current commission recently voted to make the construction of new courts its top budget request priority. Driven by results of public outreach and consistent demand from residents. That's why we made it our top priority. Adding purpose-built pickleball courts directly supports the Gilroy General Plan, especially in its guiding principle to offer recreational opportunities that promote active living, inclusion, and community connection. Pickleball is inclusive for all ages, for all people. You can go get a game. I was recently talking to some Fremont pickleball advocates, and they said it brings significant revenue into their city with the pay-to-play model. So I'm working on getting those numbers. It also aligns with goals around enhancing health, safety, and long-term value of our public spaces. Thank you for your time and for your decision and for your dedication to shaping Gilroy's future. I respectfully ask that you support the Gilroy Parks and Recreation in the upcoming budget cycle. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Ariana, any other speakers?
There are no further speakers.
Great, thank you. I'm going to close public comment and open the floor to discussion and or a motion.
I have a question for staff and our council. So in projects like anything like dog parks or pickleball courts or parks in general or trails or anything that, even if we're not directly involved, like I'm not a pickleball player, but I would like to sign a petition for that, or maybe put it on my social media that there's, a group of people, or if there's a dog park that people want to have made, or a trail or something. Can I do that at a very neutral, sort of informational way?
Yes, you can. You can show your support for parks and rec and for trails and hiking and all of that. The only thing that would be concerning is if I don't know if a park would even come before the Planning Commission. It would come before the Parks and Rec. I doubt it probably wouldn't come. Just have to be, if one ever did come before you, be neutral and consider all the evidence. But you can still be supportive bees, you can be supportive of parks, you can be supportive of things. Just because you're a planning commission, you don't give up those rights.
Okay, great. I was just a little concerned. I didn't want to be in a situation where, when we do our ethics, we're told like you can be supportive, you can be in clubs and stuff, and still vote on things in a neutral fashion. So I just wanted it to be clear. Thank you.
So as I said, you could make a motion to receive the report, blah, 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 and then adopt the resolution. You can do that as one since you don't approve the report. So that could be your motion. And then we could get consensus and then after that you can get consensus for the direction to have staff add something to the report to council about your supporting Park and Rec master plan.
Are we ready, or do we have any
make
more
a motion.
discussions?
Huh?
I didn't know if we were ready or have any more discussion. More discussion?
Discussions on consensus of adding.
Yeah.
I'm good for that.
Okay.
I think it's definitely needed. Master plans are.
Yeah.
Does she need to
They're
do a
really
motion? Because I'll second it.
Okay, so if we went right now and did accept the report, make a motion to accept the report.
Yes.
Okay. So I can make that motion to accept the report.
Oh, hold on.
Okay. I'll receive the report, yes.
So if we wanted to add a second recommendation, would we do that now?
You would do it later.
After with
after
that, okay.
you do that.
Okay.
Because that's on the agenda, and then the direction would just be a consensus to say
Okay.
you want the council, you want staff
Perfect.
to relay your message about Parks and Rec.
And that would show up in an amended staff report?
I believe that will show up in the report to council
Yeah.
regarding the CIP budget.
Yeah, because they usually see what our action is, right?
Correct. Yes.
Because that's what I've seen in the past, so, okay. All right. I'm ready if you are. Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the report, staff report, and adopt the resolution number 25 I don't know what, finding the proposed 26-27 capital improvement program project list is in conformance with the general plan.
I'll second.
Roll call. Commissioner Benson,
Yes.
Commissioner Ellie,
Yes.
Commissioner Commissioner Kushner,
Yes.
Commissioner Valdez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Donhauer,
Yes.
and Chair Bondo.
Yes.
Okay. Then the second part, I would like to make per consensus, I don't know if we have to have that at an official vote on the consensus, but to, I don't know if it's an motion
No,
form,
you
Julie?
would you want to have the planning commission provide direction to staff to include in the staff report to council that the planning commission
So I would like to make a
council to-
recommendation?
Yeah.
And then that gets voted on?
Yeah, no, you just want, you want to give direction for staff to add it to the staff report to city council that there was a consensus of the planning commissioners to support updating the Park and Rec master plan. So,
I make that, I make that recommendation that
Okay.
Jolie said.
okay. And then
Please.
just you could just raise your hands. Do we have a support of 1, 2? So we can say it was unanimous support.
Thank you.
And just to confirm, that's to include in staff report to City Council, there's a consensus
Of the
Unanimous.
planning
of the
commission.
planning commission to update the master plan.
The
Yes.
Parks Master
Parks
Plan.
master plan.
Parks and Rec.
Perfect.
Did you want to ask a thing about the fire, too?
I did.
Okay.
That's why I'm feverishly writing.
Okay.
I would also like to add a direction to the staff report that there was a consensus to update the CIP. I don't know if I'm saying this right. The CIP for the fire station.
The fourth fire station?
For the fire station.
Cable and Loma?
For the fire station, in that it is part of the priority list for the CIP. Because I know it's on there. I mean, this is weird because I know it's on there, but they said it's not going to be one of the projects that they work on. So I don't know how we phrase that.
And is that for this fiscal year that they're asking for here, 26, 27?
If appropriate.
Yeah, you could. Yeah. It will be addressed one way or another.
Right.
Yeah, but you just want
Clarification.
Yeah, you wanted clarification on the fire stations. Yeah.
Yes.
Everyone good with that, Brian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Awesome. Well, thank you, John. I hope you got all those the notes there.
Welcome to your baptism, John.
All right. Moving on. 8.1, Planning Division staff approvals. Commissioners, any questions there? No. All right. Great.
Hold on. Not sure if it's in this section.
8.1.
Yes, I had a question about and I'm sorry, I did not send an email in advance, about the 641 Leavesley Road, the installation of traffic gates at various locations around the Gilroy Premium Outlets. Am I in the right section? Oh, that's staff approvals.
Yeah, staff
My
approval.
apologies. Nope. No questions.
Great. Thank you. 9, Planning Division staff report.
No, that is in staff approvals, Planning Commission staff approvals. It was in that section. Oh, sorry, my apologies. I wanted to know where those located, because 641 is In-N-Out Burger, but I know that they do some traffic mitigation around there, but it says throughout the Gilroy Premium Outlet. So did we have any, I mean, I don't need an answer now, but.
Yeah, but it's throughout the outlets.
Okay.
I mean, we have the maps. in the
Okay,
site
I'll
plan.
email. Thank you.
That's correct for, to help with security.
To help with security. Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you. Moving on back to 9, Planning Division report. Sure.
Yeah, I know the commission has seen the flyers a couple of times for the Civic Center Master Plan community workshops. So just want to remind you, there's another one coming up on Tuesday, May 20th, either at 9 a.m. or 6 p.m., 2 sessions. This could be on the preferred concept and visioning. So please join if you can. Thank you. It's at the Wheeler Center.
Thank you, Sharon. Jolie, Assistant City Attorney report.
No report.
Very nice. With that, Commissioners, I am going to adjourn to the next meeting of June 5th, 2025. Thank you all.